Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Leslie and today we are making a bunch of cards using TapeRunner adhesive specifically. And we're also going to be making a 2-sheet wonder, and we're going to make 6 cards out of 2 pieces of pattern paper. So I'm using the Denim and Daisies paper pad from Not Too Shabby. These are the 2 pieces I'm using. I'm using a busy one and a muted one. This 2-sheet wonder is actually based on Christy Marcotte's 2-sheet wonder, where she takes 2 sheets of 6x8 pattern paper and creates a bunch of cards with them. I don't have any 6x8 paper, so I adjusted it to work with 6x6. So I made a bunch of daisies in my live stream a few weeks ago. So if you're not watching my live streams, you're missing out on some behind the scene things. We're also going to be using the greeting sentiment that is coming up for the Not Too Shabby's retreat. You still have time to get your kit and come to those classes. This is a great stamp set and I'm excited to use it. But these are my little sketches. And so we'll get right into the cutting here. So as I was trying to copy Christy Marcotte's wonder, because I was originally just going to do hers, but I didn't have any 6x8. I realized that I didn't do it right. So we're just going to do our own thing. So first we cut our 6x6 paper at the 3-inch mark, and then we do it again. So we're going to have 2 squares that are both 3 inches by 3 inches. And then we're going to take our other half of our pattern paper and we're going to cut at 3.5 inches. And that's going to go over to the side, and you will have one where we're going to go ahead and cut it diagonally from the left top corner to the bottom right corner. And then you also had a little rectangle that was 2.5 by 3 inches that we put up to the side. And that's all the cutting on that busy paper. Then we're grabbing our muted paper and we're going to start our cut at 4 inches here. I'm going to slice that off. And then we're going to focus on that smaller strip and we're going to cut it at 2.5. So it's 2.5 by 2. And then we're going to cut it at 2 inches. So it'll be 2 by 2. And I'm just lining up my cut. I really want to make sure I'm cutting straight, because if you've watched me for any amount of time, you know I don't always get it straight. And I kept looking at it, thinking that I had cut it wrong, because in my notes, I had it 2.5 and then 2 and then 2. And I'm like, well, that's not making sense. It is. It's 2.5 by 2, and then you get 2 by 2, and then you get 1.5 by 2. And this is me trying to figure out what I did wrong. But don't worry about it. As you can see, I then go in and fix it because I'm like, my math isn't mathing. Well, that's because I had 6.5 with my math on my little display, but it's okay. We want it 2.5, 2, and 1.5. So now we're going to go ahead and cut off that 2. So you have a 2 by 2 square. And then you have a leftover rectangle that is 2 by 1.5. Then we're going to bring in our bigger side. This was the 4-inch side. And we're going to go ahead and cut off on the long side. We're going to cut at 2.5. And you can see my hesitant cuts. It's because I was reading my my PDF. Well, not PDF, my little notebook here, and I was making sure that I was cutting correctly. So then we're taking that bigger piece, we're going to cut at 2 inches again. So we have 2 inches by 3.5 and 2 inches by 3.5. And then we're going to take our 4 and 2.5 and we're going to cut it diagonal. We're going to cut it from the right top corner to the bottom left corner, and you'll get more triangles. And then I am bringing in a 3rd sheet. This is just to give me some card bases. So I'm cutting these down at 3 3/4. by 5 inches because I do want a white border around a couple of my cards. And I'm just showing you that I'm just cutting a few of these extra ones into those bases just to kind of get me started. I do create the cards as I go and kind of figure out the sketches as I go. So you're really seeing the process right now of how I personally create any kind of no scrap wonder here. So then I was bringing in a 12 by 12 cardstock that was matching, and so I needed to bring in my other trimmer because that other one only goes to the about 7 inches, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm cutting card bases, so I'm cutting at that 5-inch mark and then cutting at 3 3/4 just to give me some bases to go from. Like I said, we're going to be making 6 different card sketches here. And we will be using TapeRunner adhesive for the majority of the cards making. I'll be using a little bit of liquid glue for some of the daisy placements, but otherwise we'll be using exclusively TapeRunner. So I'm making those card bases. I used the one pattern paper from the Not Too Shabby. We're also using some dark cardstock from my stash here, and then we're using some yellow cardstock from my stash. These are just what matched with my pattern paper, so if you're following along, just use whatever you actually have on hand. All right, so we are going to start with sketch number 1. I am grabbing the triangle from the pattern paper and a triangle from the muted paper. I was showing you which one I was grabbing here. And then we have a white card base that is the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 because we're going to be making all A2 cards. And then I'm using the dot adhesive tape roller for the majority of my card sketches today, and I really love this dot adhesive. I think it's my favorite out of all the ones that I am trying right now from TapeRunner. I just love that one. I love dot adhesive because I feel like it gives me just a touch wiggle room in case I need to readjust, but once it's down, it's permanent, so you don't have to worry about it it's not removable. We are going to go ahead and put a 4 by 5 1/4 matte, which is that dark blue, and then we have our denim piece, which is the 3 3/4 by 5, and then we're just going to line up our pattern triangle here, just making sure that there's the same amount of space at the bottom and the sides, and then we're going to add in the muted pattern on top of that. We just kind of like a little stepping area is kind of what I see it as. And this paper is thin enough that I'm not feeling like I need to put any extra layers underneath it at the moment. And then we're going to bring in our stamp set here and figure out which sentiment we actually want to use. Now, I am going to bring in my Simon Says Stamp Saturated Ink. This is the night color. I feel like it's the one that matches my papers. Just use whatever you have that's closest to your pattern papers. You can even just use black. I just wanted to be using a little bit of color here and there because why not? It's fun. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp this greeting. Happy hello. This is probably my favorite greeting out of all of them just because it makes me smile every time I read it. Happy hello. Yeah, it just makes me smile. So you're gonna see this a lot throughout my next few cards. So, and then I'm just bringing in a banner die that I have in my stash. This one is from Pink and Main, and it's one of the easy dies that Cards by Kendra created for them and designed. So I'm just gonna go ahead and run that through my die cutting machine, and this is my lovely die cutting machine. It's my favorite color. I was super excited that it was still available when I decided to really dive into all of the die cutting. So, and of course, now I have the mint mat from scrapbook.com right now, and it just makes my heart happy. And then we're just going to go ahead and take that off. And you'll see here, I kind of start moving things around a little bit. I'm trying to figure out where I want my sentiment to where I want my daisy here. And I think that's where I'm going to put it. So I'm going to bring in some liquid glue just because the tape adhesive would work here wonderfully, but I'm not coordinated enough and trying to roll it on such a short amount of surface, I just end up wasting it. So we're just going to use some liquid glue for those last two pieces. And then I'm just going to bring in some yellow gems that I have in my stash. I think these are from Hobby Lobby. We're just going to put 3 in the upper right hand side, and we're just going to go down a line, and we're just using 3 of the same size, that medium color there. And that's going to be the end of this card. So using a couple pieces of that of those pattern papers, you just got a pretty little card here. So let's go ahead and move on to the second card. So the second sketch, I did bring in that blue matting again. So that's going to be that 4 by 5 1/4 matting here. And I'm using my dot adhesive again. And this yellow paper here, I actually ran it through a die cut. It's one of those that that creates a pattern on your paper there. That's a whole panel. It's a panel one. I don't know what they're called. But then we're going to bring in our 3 by 3 busy pattern here, our daisies, and we're also going to mat that on some of that dark blue cardstock. And all of the matting is about 1/8 or 1/4 around any of the pattern papers. So if you are following along and attempting to do this as well, I think I did 1/8 for these just because that's what I liked. I didn't want it to be a huge amount, but you're welcome to do 1/4. So it'd be 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 or 3 1/8 by 3 1/8. And then we're bringing in the square from the muted paper as well. And that one was the one that was 2 by 2. So then the mat would be 2 1/8 or 2 1/4. And then I'm bringing in my sentiment is "You Are Loved," and I actually embossed that on and used a die cut from Lynn's from Not Too Shabby. Her LV Handcrafted. She designed an Ultimate Sentiments die and stamp set. So that's from one of the banner dies that is part of that kit. So I'm just going to go ahead and get my daisy in that bottom left hand corner of my squares. I love that it kind of connects both the "You Are Loved" and the pattern paper. And what I was showing you there was that the TapeRunner has a little cap on it that it just stays on it. And I absolutely love that because I lose my caps all the time. And so having just a little lid on this one helps me tremendously to keep it from drying out. So I'm just bringing in some dark blue gems from my stash. We're going to do 3 in that upper right hand corner of the yellow square. And then we're just doing a couple at the bottom left hand around the sentiment. And that is number 2. Moving on to card 3, our mat is actually coming from that yellow cardstock. Same measurements. You just see I did have to grab another tape runner. I have been using this a lot. I used it for almost an entire set of Kinder's Card Challenge cards. So 15 cards before even doing this. And I've been using it on random cards. So the fact that it finally ran out is pretty great. It does have 8 meters of tape, so do keep that in mind. So it can do several sets of cards, depending on how much you use. And so continuing on with the card, my 3x3 daisy paper is coming in again. And again, I'm matting it on some white cardstock that I had on my stash. And I had already used it to cut out that circle for a different set of cards. And I'm like, hey, this works. So, and then I'm keeping that same, just 1/8, border around that pattern paper. So, we're bringing in the, 2x2.5, muted pattern paper, and this time, since I did do a couple layers, I am going to bump it up just a little bit where it comes off of that daisy paper, just so that it has the same layering. And if you are hearing me sniffle a little bit, school's back in session. If you did not know, my oldest is started out in kindergarten, and I think she's already brought something home. So apparently a couple of her new friends were out for a day already, and she's been starting to cough and sniffle, and now I'm starting to cough and sniffle, and I'm like, great, where's our vitamins? let's bring out all the elderberry stuff. Let's get it going. So sorry if my voice starts sounding a little bit weird here. Anyway, we are going to go ahead and turn the 2 and 1.5 pattern paper, or from that muted section, we're turning it into a little banner here. So I just cut the banner on my pattern paper first, and then I lined it up with my cardstock there to cut the same lower end as well. It is just going around the 3 sides. It's not going to go around the top, because the top is going to connect to the very white card base, so it'll already have white around the top. So, and then because this is also going to go off that pattern paper some, I am going to bump it up just with some scrap paper as well, just to make sure it doesn't have any noticeable bends in the paper, to make it all look pretty. And we're going to go ahead and do 2 layers of that. I'm just showing you kind of how I figure it out. I literally just rip the paper until it's where I want it to be size-wise. You could probably get more precise using a paper trimmer or a pair of scissors or anything, but this is just quick and easy, and it does the job that I want it to do. So we're going to go ahead and put that in the top left hand almost corner. We're giving a little bit of space for that daisy paper to kind of surround all those the pretty glitter paper, and then we're just going to bring in our daisy. We're going to put it not quite in the middle, but more a little bit lower than the middle, because it's that top left hand corner of that muted paper that we're having it connect to. And then I'm just kind of figuring out where I want my sentiment banner to go. I felt like it needed to go in that lower corner, but it just wasn't quite doing what I wanted it to do. So we're going to go ahead and stamp, hey there. I was just seeing what fit into that banner, because that's the size I wanted to use. I did decide to use hey there, because, you know, I say that a lot. And so we're just going to go ahead and stamp that with that same night ink that I've been using on the other cards. Now I was just prepping my stamp a little bit, since this is the first time I'm using this particular sentiment from the set, and I wanted to make sure any of that wax buildup that's from the warehouse is off of there, so that it would give me a clean, crisp stamp with the very first time here. And then I'm just going to dip the long sides in the ink as well. This just kind of creates a matte look without, you know, actually making a matte. So I'm putting a little bit on the long sides and then a little bit on the one short side. You could also use the corner of your ink to get the inside banner, but I don't feel like that's necessary. If you don't want to, that's up to you. That's usually where I tend to mess up and then end up with it all over my sentiment. So I just kept to the long sides and the one short side that was straight. And then just gonna get some of my tape adhesive on there and stick it down to that bottom right hand corner. And then of course we're gonna have to bring in the gems, the same dark blue ones from earlier. I'm going to put 2 in the left hand corner on that banner, and then we're going to put 2 around the sentiment. And I'm okay if it's an even number, y'all. It doesn't have to be an odd number. It just has to look right to your eye. And for me, this looks right to my eye. So we're only using 4 on that particular card, and that's okay. And speaking of the number 4, we are moving on to our 4th card. So we went from sketch number 3 that had 3 pieces of pattern paper to sketch number 4, which is only using 1 piece of our main pattern paper. But we're starting again with that dark blue matte, but this one is actually going to be the full card base. So this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 because I didn't want any of the white showing on this particular one. And then I did bring in that denim pattern paper again. And it is 2 1/4 by that 5 1/2. And then I have the matting layer as 2 1/2 by 5 1/2. So you're just going to see 2 white stripes on either side of that denim paper. And you're going to see a little bit of the dark navy blue on the left side, and then a lot more of the portion on the right side. And then we're going to bring in our muted paper. This one is the 2 inches by 3 1/2. We actually have 2 of those in our stash. The other one will be coming up later. And then we just have another mat. It's going to be a 4th mat this time. So it's going to be 2 1/2 by the 3 3/4. Sorry, I'm just double checking my measurements. I want to make sure I'm giving you guys the correct measurements if you are trying some of these cards out for yourself. So I am going to slide that closer to the top than to the middle because I want space for my sentiment to go at the bottom. And I brought in another banner from the banner dies from Lynn that I was telling you about earlier. I am going to grab some scrap paper and put it on the right side of my sentiment strips since I do have a couple layers of cardstock now, and I want to make sure that it all stays level. And then the sentiment that I am using for this card is Hello Friend, which as I keep saying, I love all the sentiments from this greeting. If that's the main reason you get the retreat kit, it's a good one because you will use these sentiments over and over and over and over again. So you'll definitely get its money worth. Plus, then you can come watch my class that is on September 18th. So just a little plug there. If you want information about the kit, it will be down in the description box below. So this card also has 2 daisies on it. I originally made 7 daisies and we're only making 6 cards, so I'm like, well, I'm not gonna have this in my stash to never be used, so we're gonna use it on one of our cards. So I just did a diagonal there with the flowers, and then we're going to bring in those yellow gems from earlier, and I'm going to put 2 in the bottom left hand corner around our sentiment, and then we're going to figure out where these other ones go. As you can see, I kind of play around until it looks right. So I did put 3 above the sentiment on that right side. And that is sketch number 4. So moving on to sketch 5, I tried something different with this. I actually used some ink and some embossing on that white piece of paper over there, you can see. But again, we're starting with our dark blue matting. That is that 4 and 5 1/4. And then as I'm showing you, I ended up trying both techniques. I did not work out to just scrape the ink across. I actually ended up scraping the ink on the actual embossing folder and then embossing it, and that's why my dots look the way they do. I feel like it came out wonderfully. And then we're using some triangles again. This is where, if I had been able to follow Christy's exactly, her triangles come out mirroring each other. Like they're the same size. The problem is that I was not using 6x8 paper, and so my triangles did not mirror and be the same size because I wasn't paying attention to that. And so, as you can see, this is why we had to change up the sketches, but that's okay. It's okay. Plus, you could even use her 6x8 measurements and make the similar sketches that you're seeing me make today. So it gives you a whole opening, and I will put her video down in the description box if you have 6x8 paper and want to check out her videos. I love them. She's one of the YouTubers that I've been following probably the longest now, once I was getting interested in card making. So I did bring in an oval die and scallop die just from my stash. And then I'm using the daisy right in the middle, and the You're Awesome, I did emboss that in white on the same dark blue cardstock that we've been using this whole time. And then that's just another of those banner dies. So adding a little bit of bling there, that is card number 5. We'd only added 3 little blinks there. I think I was running out. I think that was the last of it. That's why. And then last but not least, this is actually probably my favorite one. And it was actually my original designing, my first design that I went with. So we are using a different size matting. The yellow is 3 1/4 by 5. The dark blue is 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. So we're giving our card a little bit bigger of a white border from that card base. And then we're bringing in the daisy paper, our last piece here. We're just going to slide that at the very bottom. This is the 2 1/2 by 3 inch on that daisy paper. And then we're using the last paper from the muted one, which was the 2 by 3 1/2. And we're just kind of lining that up to go the long way. It's going to cover a lot of that daisy paper, but there's still a good chunk all the way around evenly. And that's kind of what I was going for. And then we're going to actually bump up the last sentiment here with a little bit of foam tape. You could keep all these cards really flat. You could add a lot of dimension to it. You know, you do you. Most of my cards just get handed out, so I'm not afraid of dimension. This is just the first time that I decided to put some on. Other than the daisy flowers themselves, of course. And then this sentiment is just a little high for me, and I just think it works perfectly. So we're going to add a little bit more dimension onto our daisy. We're just going to pop that up as well, and we're going to place that right in the middle. Now, like I said, this video is all about that dot adhesive tape runner. I love TapeRunner. They have been in business for over 40 years. They have a U.S. warehouse in Pennsylvania, so it doesn't take very long to get the adhesive I need, and they're just super reliable. So if you're interested in TapeRunner adhesive, there is a link down below. I'm just saying I get a lot of workhorse out of it, so definitely check them out. And of course, if you want this lovely sentiment stamp set, look down in the description box below. All the links will be down in the description box below for you. So these are my final cards. If you liked this video, hit subscribe or hit the like button. If you're new here, hit subscribe and hit that bell so that you don't miss any other videos that are, long-winded and rambling here. But, we have fun. we see a bunch of new things and we try new things, and you see me mess up and all kinds of fun stuff. And of course, I do have live streams that I'm trying to do on a semi-weekly basis with a friend of mine, where we do all the behind the scenes of we prep for these cards, and she does coloring and all kinds of stuff. So I hope to see you in another video soon. If you're interested, here's a couple more for you. Have a great day. Bye.